Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Devyani Arts. Every painting begins with silence, a blank surface full of possibilities. Today, I'm not just starting a painting, I'm beginning a story of two souls, a peacock pair, symbol of love, grace, and togetherness. First layer is always very special. It holds the foundation, the mood, and emotion that will slowly unfold. Before the feathers shine, before the eyes of the peacock come alive, there is only a silent base waiting to witness a royal story. The first layer is always about setting the life of the painting. Slowly, their presence starts to appear, just soft outlines for now, like a promise of something magnificent. These strokes are a reflection of companionship and harmony. They might look simple, but they are the heartbeat of this painting. This is only the beginning. Their feathers have yet to bloom. Their elegance has yet to unfold. Peacocks are not yet painted, they are just revealed. Here, I start with the background because every story needs a sky and every presence needs a space to exist. A white base is must needed because it will hold the depth of everything. And now slowly, I start drawing the design I imagined for the background. Just outlines for now, soft curves, gentle arcs. A peacock is not just a bird, it is a symbol of beauty and pride. And when sitting as a pair, it becomes something even deeper, a reflection of unity. As I draw their forms, I imagine them standing close in silent understanding. No loud expressions, just presence. Depicting a lotus mandala is creating movements where there was emptiness. Now there is life. Slowly, the plain surface starts transforming into something alive. No rushing, no perfect symmetry, just intuition guiding the hands. The beauty of handmade art is that it grows naturally, just like memories do. Now comes the foundation of the design, simple lines that will soon hold an entire story together. At this stage, it may look unfinished, but every masterpiece begins in fragments. So as it is. But that's how creativity works sometimes. Before something beautiful exists, there's always a phase where only the artist can see the vision clearly. And honestly, that's one of the most magical parts of creating. Now, just look at this picture. Seems to be the most loved moments of this story. Now comes the sculpting process. This is where flat surfaces begin turning dimensional. The clay starts taking form under my hands, softly shaping into curves, patterns, and flowing details. Every moment feels calm and meditative. There's no hurry here, just rhythm. Press, shape, smooth, and repeat. Little by little, the design rises from the surface, and with every added detail, the artwork feels more alive. Some textures are bold and dramatic, others are soft and delicate. That contrast is important because art, just like life, needs balance between strength and softness at the same time. As I continue building the patterns, the painting slowly develops in its own character. This stage may not have bright colors yet, but personally, I think this is where the soul of the artwork is created. Because before a painting can impress visually, it has to carry emotions. Every handmade detail captures time, patience, and intention. Nothing here is rushed, nothing is copied by a machine. Every inch is touched, shaped, and created by hands. And that's what makes original art feel special. Now the surface is no longer empty, the textures catch light differently, the raised details create shadows, and the composition finally begins to reveal itself. Even though this is only just a part of our story, the artwork already feels alive in its own quiet way. And honestly, this part always feels the most personal because clay has a language of its own. It doesn't move perfectly, it doesn't behave exactly the same every time. And the unpredictability is what makes handmade art so beautiful. I start by taking small portions of clay, softening them carefully between my fingers. The warmth of the hands slowly makes the clay more flexible, easier to shape, easier to transform. Every tiny piece will eventually become part of a much bigger story. Gentle curves, flowing lines, raised patterns emerging one after another. This process requires patience more than speed because each detail has to be shaped carefully before moving to the next. Some sections need thicker clay to create depth and dimension. Others need softer, thinner layers for delicate detailing. And balancing those elements is what gives the artwork movement. As I press the clay onto the texture surface, I make sure every piece blends naturally into the composition. Nothing should feel forced. Everything should flow together like it belongs there. That's the difference between simply decorating our base and truly sculpting it. Now the patterns begin expanding across the artwork. Each curve is shaped slowly by hand. Some details are refined using sculpting tools, while others are adjusted with just fingertips. Honestly, fingers create the most natural textures. So let's the flower bloom with slight imperfections, the uneven pressure, the soft marks left behind. They add life that tools alone can never replicate. This stage is almost meditative. Putting each petal to the base feels like there's a rhythm to it. Shape, press, smooth, refine, repeating the same design again and again to make this flower come to life. And while working, I constantly step back to observe the balance of the composition because dimensional art is not only about details, it's about experience of perfections and imperfections. Too much texture in one area can overpower the piece. Too little can make it feel empty. So we need to find that perfect balance. So every raised element is placed intentionally to guide the eye naturally across the artwork. Now the clay starts creating shadows of its own, and that's the magical moment because even before painting begins, the artwork already starts looking alive. The light touches the raised area differently, the deeper sections create natural contrast, and suddenly the surface gains emotion and movement. Now you experience the texture as more details are added. The composition grows richer and more expressive. Some areas are bold and dramatic, others remain soft and minimal. Adding a second layer of petals to make it even more lively. Make sure to subscribe and become part of my art journey. The texture has to feel smooth and flexible, soft enough to shape, yet strong enough to hold every tiny detail. Slowly the clay transforms. What was once just a small piece of material begins turning into something that resembles nature itself. Each petal is shaped individually by hand. No molds, no shortcuts, just patience and gentle movement. I press the edges carefully to make them thinner and softer so they feel light and natural, almost like real flower petals touched by air. That variation is important because flowers in nature are never perfectly identical. Their beauty exists in their imperfections. As I continue shaping each layer, the flower slowly begins to bloom on the base, one petal at a time. This process requires a lot of patience. Sometimes a single flower takes multiple adjustments before the shape feels balanced and alive. The placement matters just as much as the sculpting itself. Every petal overlaps differently, creating depth, shadows, and movement within the composition. And honestly, this is where the artwork starts feeling truly emotional to me because flowers have a softness that instantly changes the atmosphere of a piece. The base no longer feels heavy or empty. It begins feeling elegant, calm, and alive. Now the petal starts expanding across the surface, forming layers that creates a natural blooming effect. That's the beauty of dimensional art. Every stage connects to the next. The hidden layers, the unseen efforts, the quiet hours of shaping and refining. They are what makes the final masterpiece possible. If you would like to watch this artwork transform step by step and follow along through all my future creations, make sure to subscribe and become part of my art journey. There's so much more still to come, and I can't wait to share the next part with you. Thank you so much for watching.